Joining me now with more is Congressman Adam Smith. He's the top Democrat on the House Armed Services Committee. Congressman, thanks for coming back in. Let's start with this, what I think is really quite scary, which is Russia steering a cruise missile through Moldova to target Ukraine. How serious is that?
No, it's the risk that's been in place since this war began. Will it expand to other countries around? I think it's very clear that Russia, certainly the U.S. and NATO, have no interest in Ukraine as well in expanding this beyond the truly horrible fight that's going on in Ukraine. But in a fight like that, there's always that risk. And then how will Moldova or, if it happens in Poland, how will they react? So it's a very risky and dangerous situation without question.
Yeah, absolutely. President Zelensky of Ukraine this week has been making a tour of Europe, pressing EU leaders with his request for fighter jets. You have said previously that you're not opposed to sending F-16s to Ukraine, but what do you think the answer should be to Zelensky's request right now?
Well, first of all, let's be clear. I mean, that's what's been reported. And I haven't met with President Zelensky, but I've certainly been in conversations with Ukrainian government officials. And yes, they're asking for F-16s, but they're asking for a lot of other things as well. And the most important things are the tanks, the Bradley fighting vehicles, so they can be more mobile in their ability to launch attacks, and then ammunition. Crucially, you mentioned the cruise missile attacks overnight, having those air defense systems, having the ammo to keep firing back and hitting those cruise missiles. So he's asking for a lot. Look, the F-16s, we should give Ukraine whatever we can give them. My point on the F-16s is they are not going to be particularly effective in the current battle space. I mean, the Russians have a large number of fighter attack aircraft that have been completely useless in this fight precisely because of those air defense systems. So the F-16s are not the most important thing that Ukraine is asking for, even though it seems to be what we're focused on.
Where the conversation is, at least in part, in this moment. That's an interesting perspective. I want to also ask you about the Chinese spy balloon. I want to play what the State Department said yesterday about further response from the United States over this. Let me play this.
We're exploring taking action against PRC entities linked to the PLA that supported the balloon's incursion into U.S. airspace. We'll look at continuing these broader efforts to expose and to address the PRC's larger surveillance activities that pose a threat to our national security and that to our allies and partners as well.
It caught my ear when he said we're exploring taking action against the PRC. What could those further actions be? Do you want to see further response from the U.S. over this?
Well, I don't know for sure. I'd have to hear the arguments in greater detail. I mean, you can certainly sanction entities who are involved. I mean, there's explanations of, what parts went into the making of this particular spy balloon, and you could ban, exports and or issue sanctions against anybody, providing this type of equipment to China. There's a bunch of different options. I mean, I think what we want to make clear, and what President Biden has made clear, is this is a clear violation of international law, and China should be called out for doing it. And if there are consequences, punishments that we can impose that will help make that point, then we absolutely ought to do it. Yes, nations spy on each other, but when it is blatantly discovered, there needs to be consequences where possible. I think the administration's taking the absolute right approach to exploring those possibilities.
All right, and let us see where it leads. Congressman, thank you very much.
Thanks, Kate. Appreciate it.